Walmart's annual $40 Thanksgiving meal has returned. I bought everything on the click list and I'm going to show you how to turn these raw ingredients into a feast that your family will rave about for years to come. By the end of this video, this is what we're turning it into. These are the basics, and Walmart expects you to have a few staple ingredients that nearly every household should have. We'll address those in just a moment. Head on over to walmart.com and Walmart is going to have the click list ready to go, and here's exactly what's on it. You're going to get a butterball turkey, somewhere between 10 and 16 pounds, as well as a bag of fresh cranberries. I'm going to show you exactly how to turn this meal into what it's supposed to be, and those will be cranberry sauce, as well as a bag of 5 pounds, those russet potatoes, as well as 2 pounds of fresh baby carrots, the classic Campbell's cream of mushroom soup, along with 2 packs of brown gravy. I found a rollback for 44 cents, so I went with the low sodium. We're going to be adding in 3 boxes of the Italian 5 cheese, great value mac and cheese for just $1.68. And this meal feeds 10, so we want the twin pack of the stovetop turkey stuffing, 3 cans of whole kernel corn, as well as 3 cans of the great value green beans. To that, they're going to throw in a can of fresh pumpkin or 100% canned pumpkin and evaporated milk, as well as the 2-pack pie crust that comes in the pie 10. And finishing it up with some French fried onions, but we had to substitute those as well as the Hawaiian rolls for the great value rolls. And all together, my total came in just a little bit higher with Alaska prices, but I got a discount, so I got it for $43.47. As best as I could tell from Walmart's shopping list, these are some of the items that they expect you to have on hand. Some sort of sugar, as well as milk or a substitute, butter or a substitute, salt, pepper, cinnamon, and eggs. For me, I picked up a couple of extra items, but I'm going to show you how to make this meal without the cheese, the sour cream, and the orange. However, I grabbed these. They're just going to add quite a bit to it in the end. Let's get cooking. One step I highly recommend you do not skip. While you're getting everything ready the night before, we're gonna go ahead and just brine the turkey. You'll read lots of brine recipes online and they call for all sorts of additional things. What Erin and I have learned over the years is you really only need salt and sugar. So to this, 2 cups of salt, any kind that you have, I'm gonna be okay with, to 1 cup of sugar. You can do white sugar, I'm going to do half, or you can do brown sugar. I'm going to do the other half. You don't have to mix these, you don't have to do any of that, but I just, to show you for video purposes, use whatever sugar you have, use whatever salt you have. If you have some black peppercorns because you have a pepper grinder like I do, you can throw some of those into the brine as well. This is totally not necessary. It does impart a little bit of flavor, however. And now to this, we're gonna add boiling water just to dissolve the salt and sugar. We're gonna add this to cold water as soon as it's dissolved in order to brine the turkey. I'm gonna get working on the turkey while this sits for a few minutes. I'm just gonna use a great big stock pot because that's what I had, and I don't want to buy anything special for this meal. And you just want to use a giant bowl or a pan, or even your sink will work. I've seen them put in coolers, whatever it is. You just want to use it so that the turkey can be completely submerged. And you want to save this part of the instructions because we're gonna bake the turkey based on the weight. These turkeys come frozen. You want to defrost them either in cold water or inside of your refrigerator. And we're gonna defrost it inside the brine, which I don't think is too big of a deal because we're also gonna cook the turkey all the way through, so we're not really worried about anything. We're gonna add our salt and sugar mixture, as well as some cold water. Drop our turkey in and fully submerge the turkey. Once you're able to fully submerge the turkey, you can hold it down different ways with a plate or something like that. We're gonna cover it and put it in the fridge, a cooler, or cold storage, any place that this turkey can stay cold for the next 12 to 24 hours. For the pie, we're gonna start out by lining a baking sheet and putting the pie crust on it. This is so if we have anything spill, and it makes it sturdier for in and out of the oven. Set that aside. We preheated our oven to 450 degrees, and in the bowl we're gonna go with the 100% pure pumpkin puree, and we're going to follow the instructions right here on the back of the can. 3 Great Value large eggs. As well as 1 cup of granulated sugar, 1 cup of evaporated milk. Save this. For seasonings, we're going in with 1 teaspoon, or half of a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of salt. And 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. The can calls for some other spices such as clove, nutmeg, and ginger. Feel free to add those in if you have them. If not, we're doing everything as simple as possible, so we're just using cinnamon. Give it a good whisk. Pour your pie into your pre-made pie shell. Do not overfill. This is gonna go into a 450 degree oven for the first 10 minutes, and then we're gonna turn it down to 350 for about 45 to 50 minutes. Let me double check what that says. 40 to 45 minutes until the middle starts to crack, and when we shake the pie, it is set. After 10 minutes, just turn it down. You don't even need to take a look or let any of the heat out to 350. And right when the pie is about there, the sides are all puffed up and completely done, and the center is just a little bit jiggly. It will settle down a bit, but we don't want to overcook the pie. We're gonna let it completely cool overnight. We've allowed the pie to cool overnight, and simply by using your most beautiful display, whether that's a plate from your grandmother or a cake stand or a dessert tray like this, it just adds a little bit of ambiance to it. And there we go, a very simple, minimal ingredient pumpkin pie. Although it's not quite time to put the turkey in, otherwise it would be done long before my family is going to be here. It is time to rinse it. After you've brined the turkey overnight, I am going to soak it in just some clean, straight water with no salt, so that we don't have an overwhelming amount of salt sensation in our meat. Now is a good time to go ahead and pull those additional parts, the neck and such. I'm also gonna soak those in the clean liquid as well. And this turkey, gotta check the back cavity. That's where we're going to find the bag of organs. I'm gonna show you how to turn all of that into a beautiful gravy, where you can choose whether you want to use the brown gravy, packets that we purchased, or if you want to make a homemade turkey gravy just from what came in the turkey and a little bit of water and some shelf-stable ingredients that you've probably already got on hand. While the turkey goes, we're gonna get started on the green bean casserole. That's what my assumption, the green beans, the fried onions, and the cream of mushroom soup is actually for. I've got a little bit of unsalted, which is my preference. You can always add salt, you can't take it away. I got a little unsalted, great value butter. This is an item that I am assuming that Walmart thinks you have on hand with their list. So with this butter, I'm just gonna take it and I'm gonna grease our baking dish and preheat the oven to 350 degrees. If you have cooking spray or oil or anything else, totally fine, but if all you bought was one thing of butter, we'll make it through the entire meal. There we have it. We'll save this for later. So we have a greased baking dish. Set that aside. Here's a substitute I had to make. Our Walmart only had these crispy fried onions. They didn't even have the Walmart brand, and they did not have the one that is listed on their click list. And in order to get that, it has to be shipped to Alaska. Well, I'm not gonna pay a shipping fee on some French fried onions. Yours will be a little bit different, but the recipe I'm gonna follow is actually on the back of the French's. This brand was double the price of what Walmart has on the list, and I've had all sorts of fried onions like this. This isn't necessarily any better than the other one, but for the recipe it says we want 1 can of cream of mushroom soup, my Walmart was also out of the regular cream of mushroom, so I got the cream of mushroom with roasted garlic. 3/4 of a cup of milk. If you use the canned milk from the night before from the pie, it actually is just gonna make it a little thicker, a little richer. So I'm gonna put some of that in my can to try to get some juice and then see where we're at. That's exactly perfect. 3/4 of a cup of milk going in. Next is 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper. We're gonna give this a whisk before we add the green beans. It wants us to add 4 cups of green beans, but they need to be drained. So I just left the lid in there and I'm gonna drain them. Add in your 3 cans of green beans. And toss to combine. We're gonna add the green beans to our greased baking dish. We're gonna pop in a 350 degree oven for about 30 minutes before we put on the French fried onions. And we're gonna put on the French fried onions and reheat it right before we serve the entire meal after the turkey's cooked and everything. We're gonna get this done first. The green bean casserole is nice and golden brown. Just before service, we will top it with the French fried onions, pop it back into the oven just to heat through, crisp up those onions, and it is service time. Now on to the corn. I honestly believe Walmart's intention with the 3 cans of whole kernel corn is to just simply heat them up, put them in a serving dish, add a little bit of butter, salt and pepper, something along those lines, just nice and simple, something like this. I, however, took the liberty to find 2 corn recipes that I thought we would share. One uses all the kitchen staples that we're talking about that you should already have on hand with a swap of cream style corn instead of just whole kernel corn. And the other one requires 1 box of the Jiffy corn mix, and that is the same price as a can of corn. And it does require 1 cup of cheese. If you get this 2-cup cheese, we're gonna use half for the corn recipe, and then we're gonna use the other half to top off the macaroni and cheese and make it look really, really fancy. So let's just go ahead and move these 3 cans of corn into their serving bowl to the side. We would just wanna heat these up seconds before the meal. For the first corn recipe, we are going to grease an 8x8 baking dish. By all means, you could double or triple this super simply for not a whole lot of extra. Set it aside. To our mixing bowl, we're going to do half of a cup of melted butter, 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 2 eggs, go ahead and start whisking that. Add in 1 cup of milk, some salt, black pepper. To this, we're gonna fold in the corn. We have 1 15-ounce of whole kernel corn that we have drained, and 1 14.75 ounce of cream style corn. Fold that together. And into our 8x8 baking dish. Into a 350-degree oven for about 1 hour and 15 minutes. All right, let's do a cheesy corn casserole. I'm going to grease another baking dish. Set that aside. To our mixing bowl, we are just going to blend all these things together. 1 can of whole kernel corn, 1 can of cream style corn, half a cup of melted butter, the 1 8.5-ounce Jiffy corn muffin mix, as well as 1 cup of sour cream, 1 cup, it calls for cheddar cheese, but I thought this cheese, which is the Italian style, would go better with the macaroni as well, and so we're going to just use what we can. A little bit of salt and pepper to taste. Now just simply bring this together. Pour the mixture into your greased baking dish. It calls for a 9x9. I just have this on hand. That's perfect. We're gonna bake it at 350 degrees for about 45 minutes until it looks like it is set. It also says cool slightly before serving, so this is another one that we can simply heat up just before dinner. Started, the cranberry sauce needs time to cool, so we're going to get that going early in the morning or even the day before. You simply open your package of cranberries, and we are going to rinse and wash them and look for any bad berries in the bunch. Cranberries should be super firm. Anything soft and squishy is no good. So after rinsing those, they're gonna go straight into our stock pot. And here is an area where I have taken some liberties. To me, I'm gonna start with about 1/2 cup of sugar. They're very tart, but you can go all the way up to a whole cup if that is what you like, as well as some cinnamon, about a teaspoon or so. Whatever makes your heart happy. You can leave the cinnamon out altogether if that is what you want. The one area that is the liberty is the orange. You need some sort of liquid to start out your cranberries. And right here, I would assume Walmart says use some water. And of course, just use some water if you don't have an orange. But if you have like a little thing of apple juice or orange juice, lemon juice, whatever it is, and you add that to this cranberries, it's gonna take it up a notch really, really quickly. But one of the things I'm gonna do is zest the orange that I have. I'm gonna get all that additional flavor from the rind, all those beautiful oils, and it's going to give it a holiday vibrance that it doesn't quite have otherwise. But adding the juice in is one of those things that's just gonna brighten up the cranberry sauce. And instead of using water, here in just a second, I am going to juice this orange in there. Juice it. I think this orange cost me about 90 cents. On to medium low heat. Give it a stir. And keep an eye on it. This cooks very, very quickly. As soon as the cranberries start bursting, they will turn into their own gelatin without having to add anything like pectin. You can literally hear the cranberries popping and cracking and opening up. And then here in just a few minutes, it'll work its way down until the cranberry sauce. It's been just a couple of minutes and we're already almost there. You can help the cranberries along a little by kind of smashing with your spoon. We don't want to overcook and we don't want to scald it or burn it to the bottom, but we also want it to look homemade. We don't want it to look like that canned jelly stuff. Instead, we want it to look like that. So a couple of whole berries left and mostly squished and cooked down, and it's turned into a thick sauce. I figured while I was at it with the cranberries, I would go ahead and put out a stick of butter to come to room temperature for the rolls and the dinner later. I'll go ahead and just cover that up. And now to our little dish that can go straight into the refrigerator. We are going to move our cranberry sauce. Cranberry sauce is very, very potent, and therefore it only takes a little per person. Most people aren't going to eat huge amounts of it unless you're my husband, who is going to eat it by the spoonful for days and days and days. Look at how rich in color. That is so beautiful. Clean up our dish. And then we have a beautiful serving dish. I'm gonna put a lid on this and into the fridge. We're gonna turn these free turkey parts into the most amazing gravy. You use a little pan, cover it over in water. We're not gonna start this for a couple of hours. However, when we're done, we'll take all the drippings from the turkey as well as this and have the most beautiful, rich gravy for free. While the turkey is hanging out and drying a little bit before we put it in the oven, my corn dishes have just gone off. Oh, I'll bring you over. That is beautiful. I did not expect that it would be so bubbly and so golden brown, but that looks absolutely fantastic. Our second corn, the cheesy corn casserole, isn't that beautiful? That, I cannot wait. It smells amazing. I'm gonna go ahead and prepare the turkey for the oven by sitting it on the drain that I'm going to cook it in. I've let a lot of water drain out the bottom. I'll dump that in just a second. If you do not have a roasting pan like this, use a cookie sheet, use some carrots, use some onions, use some potatoes. Just lift the bottom of the turkey up off of your cooking surface, because it is going to cook for so long that we want the air to get around the bottom so that it's not soggy, but also we want all of those good drippings in the bottom. We want to be able to remove the turkey and get those juices here in just a minute. As far as these legs go, when a turkey is alive, these are the legs that it actually stands on, and the breast is underneath the turkey, and the turkey actually walks around like this. So when we flip it over to have that traditional look to the turkey, the wings that would fall down to the side, well, they fall down. You can do 3 things with these. You can let them fall. Who really cares? You can tie them up, which is what I'm going to do because I have some kitchen twine. If you don't, you can cut the skin right here, break the bone, and tuck the legs underneath the bird so that all the juices are falling down into those. They're not laying to the side and getting dried out, and they are not becoming crispy before the rest of the bird. If you have some kitchen twine like I do, that's how we're going to do it, just because I have it. So I am just going to work my way underneath the legs. Those legs are just tucked into the sides of the bird. As far as seasonings and spices go, use what you have on hand. We're going to use 1 of the sticks of butter. I'm just gonna break it up with my fingers. I don't like to peel back a bunch of the skin, but any skin that's already peeled back, I'm gonna shove some butter up underneath there. But what I have found is when I watch people peel all of this skin, the skin shrinks faster than the meat does, and it causes it to just peel back off of that breast, and it makes for a very dry breast. So I don't prefer to do it that way. I'm not gonna put too much of it on the outside because I'm going to baste the bird, meaning I'm going to get some of these good buttery oils onto the bird later when we uncover it. Salt and pepper are completely fine. You don't actually need much more than that. My husband has this mix, a seasoning on hand. If you have some Lowry's or your favorite seasoned salt, whatever it is, go ahead and just use that. This is mostly salt and pepper with a couple of other spices, dehydrated garlic, onion, butter flavoring, so on. So I'm going to use just this simple spice to give it a little color and some place for the butter to land. On top of all of that, we already brined the turkey. That's why we don't have to do anything crazy like inject it or flip it upside down and try to flip it back and do a whole bunch of other things. We just have a simple turkey. I have some herbs that I've dried by the wood cook stove, and I would be remiss if I didn't use what I honestly have on hand, and that is a little sprig of dried rosemary going in, and a couple of sprigs, might as well hold it over the turkey, right? Of some thyme going in. They're gonna loosen, they're gonna give it off their flavor. If you have any dried herbs, you can use those. Just use your imagination and what you think goes really well with turkey or chicken. But I think a couple of herbs that I just have hanging on the wall will do perfect. You guessed it, the next step is going to be to cover the turkey.
I first put some parchment down so that it doesn't stick to the turkey, and then I covered it over with foil to head off into the oven.
The turkey is going to bake covered all except for the very last hour, and according to the package directions that came with the turkey, mine is needing to go in the oven anywhere from 3.5 to 4.5 hours. So I am going to just leave it covered 325 for 3 hours. After that is when we're going to take the coating off, baste the oven or baste the turkey, and make sure that we get that golden brown skin. only thing I want to cook when my guests are arriving and have hot and not reheat is the potatoes, the mashed potatoes and the gravy. I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the last couple of items, get them in their baking dish, and then I can completely have a clean kitchen, clean house, and about 3 hours of rest time before everyone shows up. So we'll do the stovetop stuffing right now, get it in its serving dish, and then also do the Italian 5-cheese mac and cheese. This is the one we're gonna top with a little extra cheese so that when we heat it in the oven, it gets all nice and bubbly. According to the package of stovetop stuffing, it is 1.5 cups of water per bag, and there is a twin pack in here, so that's a total of 3 cups of water to feed the 10. And then it's 1/4 cup of butter, or for both of them, it's 1/2 cup of butter, so 1 whole stick. We're gonna heat this till it's boiling and then add the stuffing. Now we add in the stuffing and the seasoning, both bags. Give it a nice stir with the fork. Shut off the heat. Put a lid on it, and in 5 minutes we'll fluff. Make sure you take the cheese packets out of the pasta before you dump them in. Boiling water. The package says it's gonna take 10 to 13 minutes. It's been 5 minutes. We just wanna fluff the stuffing with a great big fork. It's still a little bit moist. I'm gonna move it into my serving dish. And when it's time to serve, I'm gonna top it with just a little bit of gravy to make it extra fancy. And it'll end up absorbing all of the liquid, and when we reheat it, it won't be dried out. Pop the lid on. You just cut open and squeeze out the cheese sauce. The heat of the pasta will help us move it all around. We're going to transfer this into a beautiful serving dish that is also oven safe, again, so we can reheat it. We're gonna top it with that beautiful melty Italian cheese. If you have breadcrumbs and you do a little bit of breadcrumb with butter and top it with that instead, it would give like more of a traditional macaroni and cheese vibe. And I'm just not gonna do that because I don't know how many people have breadcrumbs, but a simple mac and cheese traditional makes a crusty top is to just use some breadcrumbs, but that covered that absolutely perfectly. And now 1 bag of $2 cheese has made 2 fantastic meals look completely homemade. We've still got a whole whopping 4 items that we are going to deal with for our Thanksgiving feast that is turning out fantastic. I have been able to take a couple of hours and just clean up the house, mop up the floors, do some things, and if you are getting ready for guests, it is all just saved. We're gonna reheat everything. It's all gonna be just absolutely wonderful. One of the things that's gonna carry the meal to where you can feed 10 with it is going to be the potatoes. So we are going to actually cook all 5 pounds of these russet potatoes and turn them into beautiful mashed potatoes. To do that, you just peel your potatoes. Cover your potatoes over with cold water, but don't rinse them again. We want some of the starch that's left on them in order to make really rich mashed potatoes. Potatoes could literally sit for hours in the cold water and not have anything happen, but if you don't cover them over in cold water, they will start to turn brown. The turkey's been undisturbed in the oven for about 3 hours. It's time to take a look. Are you ready? My turkey is so juicy, it is literally falling off the bone. All right, so the turkey cooked a bit faster than planned, and so we're gonna use our roasting pan. We're going to take the juices and the butter and all those things from the turkey and put it in a dish. We're gonna use this for gravy as well as basting the turkey in order to get that nice brown caramel color. And we're going to use this pan in order to cook the carrots really quick. We're gonna toss the carrots into the roasting pan. I was going to do sweet carrots. You could do exactly what I'm doing, butter with brown sugar and cinnamon, if that's how you would like your carrot dish. But I thought with all the other things we had going on, I thought savory carrots might do the trick. And what I'm gonna use is the fat and butter from on top there. So all of this is separated. That's nice juices from the turkey, and this is the fat and butter from the turkey. I'm going to just drizzle that over the carrots. I'm going to just do a little pepper and a little bit of salt. We're gonna crank up the oven to about 400 degrees. 375 to 400. Okay, I chose 380. And I'm going to roast the carrots while we make the potatoes and the gravy. Because the turkey is technically finished, I am going to drizzle some of this fat over it and then let it just rest for a bit. We'll pop it back in the oven when everything is cooked in order to brown up the skin, but I don't want a dry turkey. My intention was, based on the instructions, that I would be able to finish roasting the turkey with the carrots. The turkey is only gonna need a few minutes to brown the skin. I do want to use the fat off the top of what we're going to make gravy out of in order to make sure that we're not drying anything out. I went ahead and turned the potatoes on, but I forgot. I salt my potatoes a little bit while they're cooking, and then I can add a little bit more salt later. We can't take the salt away, but to cook the salt deep into the potatoes really does help with the flavor in the long run. You know the potatoes are done when you could take a fork and just smush them really easily. It's time for us to strain. Just set the strainer over the pan and let them steam for just a few minutes while we get everything else ready. I'm gonna use the same pan I cooked them in. I'm going to add between a half and a stick of butter. Season with a little bit of salt and pepper. Add in between a half and 1 cup of Great Value milk of choice or substitute. And using a hand mixer or a hand masher, mash those potatoes. Check for salt and pepper. Little salt. Transfer to your serving dish. Spin a small well in the middle. We're just gonna make it pretty with the leftover butter from the gravy. And as that starts to melt and pools around, it'll be beautiful. I needed a little bigger pan, so we're gonna just take all of these drippings from the turkey. We've already basted it. We have a little bit of oil on there. And We've been slow cooking the turkey parts in some water. So we're just gonna combine these two in order to make a really robust gravy. I just have a strainer over a bowl so that we can turn this amazing broth into a free gravy. To make gravy, just using the same pan, you need equal parts butter to flour. That's 6 tablespoons of butter. And I'm going to go in with 6 tablespoons of flour. And that's 1 tablespoon of butter and 1 tablespoon of flour for every cup of cooking liquid. So slowly melting the butter into the flour, stirring it around, we're creating a roux and we're cooking out the flour flavor. After letting it cook for just a couple of minutes, we start adding in our cooking liquid. Whisking vigorously in the beginning to prevent lumps. Look at that, smooth right out. Once your gravy starts to thicken right up, go ahead and taste your gravy for salt and pepper. Mine doesn't need anything. That is delicious. That is even better than anything that you can buy, and it just simply came from what we were already doing, and the turkey made its own gravy. To make the packages of brown gravy that came with Walmart's recipe, 2 cups of cold water. Whisk in your packages. Make sure that you don't do this into warm water because it'll thicken and lump right up on you. We're going to completely combine before we put it on the heat. To low heat. Whisk till it comes up to temp. Starting with the beautiful green bean casserole, we're gonna make it a showstopper by adding these crispy fried onions to the top. We're gonna just start putting the dishes back in the oven to heat through. The first corn casserole we made, the second corn casserole we made. I'm gonna move the beautiful roasted carrots to a serving dish. The macaroni and cheese just until the top is golden and brown. In with that incredible stuffing just to heat it through. I'm gonna set the table and show you just how beautiful this meal turned out. Look at that mac and cheese. And while I set the table, would you consider sharing this video? We have committed to give a portion of anything we earn off of this video to our local food bank, as well as buying Christmas gifts for kids that are in need. And so if you just share it with friends and family and those who are maybe struggling this time of year and don't know exactly what they would do with a $40 basket of food, this could really help others out, and we're gonna pay that back to our own community. Let's work our way through the menu and everything that we did and how beautiful it all turned out. First on the shopping list was the turkey. It turned out beautiful. I did get it to the point of falling off the bone tender. That is cook's error, not necessarily, but I hope yours turns out even more beautiful than mine. The next thing on the shopping list was the cranberries. We made beautiful homemade cranberry sauce that still has a little bit of life in all of the berries. The next thing on Walmart's list was the potatoes, and we just turned those into beautiful, fluffy, thick mashed potatoes. 2 packs of brown gravy. 3 cans of corn. This one is just heated up. That was the first corn casserole that we made, and this was the cheesy corn casserole. Our Walmart was out of their regular dinner rolls, so we went with the Walmart brand, the Great Value Hawaiian dinner rolls. Followed by the pumpkin pie, which is 1 pie shell, 1 can of pumpkin, and 1 of the cans of evaporated milk. We used the rest of the evaporated milk on the green bean casserole. Last but certainly not least is the 2 packages of stuffing. If you simply put a little bit of gravy over the top of that, it will come out fantastic every time. And the one thing not on Walmart's list, but completely made from scratch, was our homemade turkey gravy. Now we have 2 choices of gravy on the table, and everyone is gonna be satisfied. I know times can be hard and they can be tough on many as we head into the holiday season, and I hope that you were inspired today to try Walmart's $40 list in order to make a beautiful Thanksgiving meal for your family that literally costs me less than what it would to take my family to Taco Bell. The prices up here are so astronomical. Just 1 weeknight meal would cost more than this, and we have a feast for 10. Walmart has proven to me with this $40 meal, not only can it feed a crowd, it also can be beautiful. Most of the dishes that you saw me plating actually came from Walmart, so you can plate a beautiful Thanksgiving dinner on some incredible dishes that I got fairly cheaply at Walmart. Let me show you. All of these rectangle pans, they come with lids, as well as the little pumpkins with the lid, the scalloped edge bowls, the turkey platter, the scalloped pan that we put the green bean casserole in, as well as this beautiful one with the wood top. All of these came from Walmart. They're part of the Pioneer Woman line. If you're interested, I'll leave some shopping links so that you too can host a beautiful Thanksgiving on some incredible dishes that weren't too terribly bad. I'm honestly grinning ear to ear because I have just reminisced about the time that we got our Thanksgiving meal from a food pantry, and they gave me a box of ingredients and I was able to make something for my family. And this is probably the meal I'm one of the most proud of. I can't believe how incredible it turned out. It looks amazing, and I am so excited to share this with our neighbors. It's going to be shared around the neighborhood to another family as well as mine tonight. And with that, thank you for joining us in today's video. I hope that you enjoyed some time with us. I hope that you are blessed. I hope you have a fantastic week and a holiday in front of you. I hope you find a reason to be grateful and thankful and spending time with some friends and some family and just enjoying the season ahead of us. And with that, I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.